The deep space research vessel Pioneer drifted silently through the inky blackness of space, its long-range sensors sweeping methodically across the star-studded void. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned forward, her fingers hovering over the holographic display as an anomalous reading began to take shape. Something massive was approaching, something that defied every known pattern of stellar movement. The ship's quantum communication array hummed to life, transmitting encrypted data back to Earth. Years of preparation, decades of scientific advancement, and centuries of human curiosity had led to this moment. The Pioneer was more than just a research vessel. It was humanity's most advanced deep space explorer, equipped with technologies that pushed the boundaries of known scientific understanding. Junior Science Officer David Kim watched the sensor readings with a mixture of excitement and growing concern. The approaching objects were unlike anything in their extensive database. Their movement suggested intelligence, purpose, and a level of technological sophistication that made his breath catch in his throat. "Dr. Rodriguez," he called out, his voice steady despite the tremor of anticipation. "You're going to want to see this." The holographic display erupted with a cascade of data. Massive energy signatures, complex geometric formations, and movement patterns that suggested not just spacecraft, but an entire fleet. These were not random celestial objects. These were vessels, alien vessels, moving with calculated precision. Thousands of light years from Earth, the Pioneer had become humanity's first line of contact. The research team had trained for this possibility, but no simulation could prepare them for the reality unfolding before their eyes. Each team member represented the best of human scientific and exploratory spirit. Rodriguez, a veteran space researcher with 3 interplanetary missions under her belt. Kim, a prodigy in quantum communication and xenotechnology. Dr. Marcus Wong, an expert in advanced propulsion systems. Their mission parameters were clear: make contact, observe, understand, protect. Back on Earth, the global network of space monitoring stations began to receive the Pioneer's transmission. In underground command centers scattered across continents, teams of scientists, military strategists, and diplomatic experts sprang into action. The Planetary Defense Council, a collaborative international body established decades earlier, had always known this day might come. The approaching fleet belonged to the Zornak Empire, a civilization that had systematically conquered thousands of worlds across multiple galactic sectors. Their method was always the same: initial reconnaissance, followed by overwhelming force. Civilizations would typically surrender within hours of first contact, their technological infrastructure crushed beneath the weight of superior weaponry and strategic dominance. But the Zornak did not understand humanity. As the alien scout ships entered the solar system's outer boundaries, they would encounter something unprecedented. Earth was not just another target. It was a world prepared, a planet unified, a species that had spent generations preparing for the possibility of extraterrestrial conflict. The Pioneer continued its careful observation, transmitting every piece of data it could collect. Each burst of information represented humanity's first true communication with an alien civilization. The quantum communication array ensured that no detail was lost, no nuance overlooked. In the research vessel's compact command center, Dr. Rodriguez studied the incoming data with a calm that belied the magnitude of the moment. Her team had trained for years, running countless scenarios, studying potential extraterrestrial contact strategies. Now those years of preparation would be tested. A global defense network began to hum to life, waiting silently like a complex, interconnected organism. Satellites repositioned, defensive systems initialized, communication networks prepared to respond. The first alien scout ships would soon discover that humanity was far from an easy target. The universe was about to learn something important about the species from planet Earth. The first wave of Zornak scout ships approached Earth's orbital boundaries with the cold calculation of a species accustomed to effortless conquest. What they encountered was anything but predictable. Hidden within seemingly ordinary satellite networks were cutting-edge defensive systems that had been meticulously developed over decades of careful preparation. General Lauren Chen watched from the Global Defense Command Center, a state-of-the-art facility buried deep beneath the Colorado mountain range. Her team represented an unprecedented collaboration of international military and scientific expertise. Screens flickered with real-time data, tracking the approaching alien vessels with precision that would have been impossible just a generation ago. The initial alien probe consisted of 3 massive motherships and a supporting fleet of smaller reconnaissance vessels. Their technology was impressive. Biomechanical hulls that could adapt to different radiation levels, energy weapons that could slice through most planetary defenses, and neural link communication systems that had crushed countless civilizations before. But humanity had been preparing for this moment. The first strike came not from massive weapon platforms, but from a network of seemingly innocuous communication satellites. As the Zornak ships approached, these satellites transformed. Metamaterial surfaces shifted, revealing advanced weapon systems that defied conventional understanding of military technology. Quantum-entangled targeting systems locked onto the alien vessels with impossible precision. "Defensive grid activated," announced Commander Robert Sullivan, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "All systems are green." The first energy pulse was unlike anything the Zornak had encountered. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a complex system of interconnected defensive measures that adapted in milliseconds. Where traditional planetary defenses would have a predictable response, Earth's network was fluid, intelligent, capable of restructuring itself faster than the alien tactical systems could process. In the lead scout ship, Commander Krulvax watched in growing disbelief. Their preliminary scans had suggested a primitive world with minimal technological capability. Instead, they faced a defense system that was simultaneously defensive and offensive, a living network that seemed to think and respond like a sentient organism. The global response was equally impressive. Within moments of the first alien approach, every major research facility, military installation, and technological center on Earth had synchronized their resources. Universities redirected research, technology companies activated contingency protocols, and even civilian communication networks became part of the defensive strategy. Dr. Emma Rodriguez, leading a team at the International Space Defense Research Center, had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. The system they had developed was more than a weapon. It was a comprehensive planetary defense network that could analyze, adapt, and counter alien technologies in real time. The first Zornak ships found themselves caught in a web of quantum disruption fields, their advanced shielding suddenly rendered ineffective. Energy pulses that would have obliterated most planetary defenses were absorbed, redirected, and transformed into counterattack vectors. It was as if the entire planet had become a single, interconnected defensive mechanism. Aboard the Pioneer, Dr. David Kim monitored the engagement, transmitting critical data back to Earth. "Their tactical approach is systematic," he noted to his colleagues, "but our response is anything but predictable." The alien commander's confusion was palpable. The Zornak had conquered thousands of worlds, each following a similar pattern of swift submission. Humanity was rewriting the rules of engagement with each passing moment. Where the aliens expected fear, they found calculated resistance. Where they anticipated surrender, they met innovative defiance. 3 of the initial scout ships were disabled within the first hour of engagement. Not destroyed, disabled. It was a critical distinction. Humanity's defensive strategy wasn't about total annihilation, but about demonstrating a level of technological and strategic capability that would give the invaders pause. Communications intercepts revealed the growing uncertainty among the Zornak fleet. Their neural link communication systems, typically a source of absolute coordination, were being jammed and infiltrated by human technology that shouldn't have been possible. As the first wave of the invasion dissolved into a retreat, something became abundantly clear. Earth was not just another conquest. The Zornak had encountered a species that would not be easily subdued, a civilization that had been preparing for this moment for generations. The universe was about to witness something unprecedented. The research facility complex stretched across a remote mountain region, a collection of interconnected buildings that hummed with an energy of concentrated human potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a laboratory that had transformed overnight from a theoretical research center to humanity's primary technological response team. Captured alien technology lay spread across multiple examination stations. Each piece was a puzzle waiting to be decoded, a technological challenge that brought together the brightest minds from every corner of the globe. The international research team represented an unprecedented level of global cooperation. Scientists who had once competed now worked with a single, unified purpose. Dr. Marcus Wong carefully manipulated a fragment of alien shielding technology, his hands protected by advanced haptic interface gloves. Quantum sensors mapped every molecular structure, every energy signature. What made human innovation unique was not just raw intelligence, but the ability to understand, adapt, and reimagine. "Look at the quantum entanglement matrix," he called out to his colleague, Dr. Sarah Chen. "Their shielding doesn't just block energy, it redirects and absorbs it in a way we've never seen before." The research team worked in shifts that blended into one another. Sleep became a secondary concern. Every moment counted. The alien invasion had transformed scientific research from a methodical process to a race against time. Universities worldwide had redirected their resources, creating a global network of innovation that worked simultaneously on multiple technological fronts. In another section of the facility, a team of materials scientists discovered something extraordinary. The alien hull fragments contained a unique molecular structure that could potentially revolutionize energy transmission. What the Zornak saw as advanced technology, human researchers saw as a starting point for even more radical innovation. Dr. Rodriguez understood the true power of human collaboration. Their strength wasn't in individual brilliance, but in their ability to share knowledge instantly, to build upon each other's discoveries with a speed that would baffle most civilizations. International communication networks transformed the research facility into a global brain, with each scientist contributing to a collective understanding. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. Dr. James Kumar, working on energy transfer protocols, discovered a method to not just counteract the alien shielding, but to actually enhance it. The original alien technology became a foundation for something entirely new, a hybrid system that combined the best of two different technological approaches. The Defense Ministry received continuous updates. What had begun as a defensive effort was rapidly transforming into an offensive capability. Each piece of captured technology became a window into the Zornak's tactical thinking, their technological limitations, their strategic vulnerabilities. Quantum computing systems worked around the clock, analyzing every byte of data from the initial encounter. Machine learning algorithms developed by a consortium of international research centers began to predict alien tactical movements with increasing accuracy. Where traditional military intelligence would take weeks to analyze a potential threat, these systems could generate comprehensive reports in minutes. "We're not just defending," Dr. Rodriguez explained during a global briefing. "We're learning. Every piece of technology is an opportunity to understand, to grow, to evolve." The research wasn't limited to defensive technologies. Medical teams analyzed the biological data from initial encounters, understanding the physiological makeup of the Zornak. Agricultural scientists began developing contingency plans for potential resource challenges. Communication experts worked on decoding alien language patterns. In a basement laboratory, a team of young researchers discovered something that would change everything. The alien communication technologies, when slightly modified, could create a form of quantum communication that was exponentially more efficient than current human systems. What the Zornak saw as a sophisticated communication network, human innovation saw as a starting point. Global technology companies joined the effort. What would have taken years of development was now being accomplished in days. The line between military research, scientific exploration, and technological innovation had completely blurred. Every sector of human knowledge was now focused on a single objective. As the days passed, something became clear. The alien invasion was no longer just a threat. It was an unprecedented opportunity for human growth. Each technological challenge was met with a combination of creativity, collaboration, and an unbreakable spirit of discovery. The Zornak had come to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something far more powerful: humanity's extraordinary capacity for innovation. Part 4. Psychological Resilience. The Zornak had perfected psychological warfare over centuries of galactic conquest. Their approach was methodical, designed to break the spirit of any civilization they encountered. Massive holographic transmissions would flood communication networks, showing the futility of resistance. Psychological dampening fields would target the neural pathways of lesser species, inducing collective despair and submission. But humanity was different. Dr. Rachel Goldman, a leading expert in cross-cultural psychology, watched the alien psychological attack unfold from the Global Psychological Defense Center. The facility, located deep beneath the Swiss Alps, represented the culmination of decades of research into human resilience, cultural adaptation, and collective response to extreme stress. The first wave of alien psychological warfare began with overwhelming visual displays. Massive holographic projections appeared simultaneously across every major city, images of planetary destruction, scenes of complete subjugation, mathematical projections showing the impossibility of human resistance. These were tactics that had crushed thousands of civilizations before. In Tokyo, a group of high school students gathered around the holographic display, their initial fear transforming into something else entirely. Instead of despair, they began analyzing the projection, breaking down its technological components, discussing potential counter-strategies. Their response was not fear, but curiosity and determination. Similar scenes played out globally. Where the Zornak expected panic, they found an unexpected human trait: adaptive resilience. Community centers became impromptu support networks. Neighborhood groups organized rapid response teams. Social media platforms transformed into global coordination centers. The psychological attack that was meant to divide humanity instead brought people closer together. Colonel Sarah Rodriguez, leading the Psychological Resistance Division, understood the deeper implications. They're trying to create isolation, she explained during an emergency briefing. But isolation has never been our weakness. It's our strength. The alien communication networks began to detect something unprecedented. Human responses didn't follow any known psychological pattern. When confronted with images of destruction, communities would immediately begin developing reconstruction plans. Faced with projections of defeat, individuals would start innovating defensive strategies. Schools became unexpected centers of resistance. Teachers transformed classroom discussions into strategic thinking sessions. Young students approached the alien threat with a combination of scientific curiosity and unwavering hope. Their response defied every psychological model in the Zornak database. Cultural diversity became an unexpected weapon. The global response was not uniform, but a complex, adaptive network of different approaches. What worked in one community would be rapidly shared and modified by another. The Zornak's psychological warfare was designed to work against unified, predictable responses. Humanity's strength lay in its beautiful complexity. Religious leaders, community organizers, scientists, and military strategists found unexpected common ground. The psychological attack that was meant to create division instead highlighted humanity's capacity for collaboration. Dr. Goldman's team began developing real-time psychological support networks. They understood that the true battle was not just external, but internal. Every community needed to maintain its sense of hope, its belief in collective potential. The alien psychological dampening fields encountered something they had never seen before. Human neural networks seemed to have an almost organic ability to resist external manipulation. What should have been a moment of collective submission became a moment of collective awakening. In communication centers around the world, linguists and communication experts began decoding the psychological transmission. Each message was analyzed, understood, and transformed into an opportunity for learning and resistance. The Zornak had conquered civilizations by understanding their weaknesses. Humanity presented a fundamentally different challenge. Every attempt to induce fear was met with creativity. Every projection of defeat was answered with innovation. As days passed, the psychological warfare began to have an unexpected effect. The aliens were becoming confused. Their sophisticated systems, which had broken the spirit of thousands of civilizations, were encountering a species that didn't just resist. They transformed resistance into an art form. What the Zornak failed to understand was that humanity's greatest strength was not in individual brilliance, but in its collective spirit. This was a declaration of human potential. The call came at 300 hours, but no one was sleeping anyway. Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked across the Global Coordination Center, a massive facility that had transformed from a theoretical research hub to the beating heart of humanity's collective response. Every sector of human society had mobilized with a speed and unity that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. Universities worldwide had redirected their entire research infrastructure. Engineering departments developed advanced defensive technologies. Medical research centers analyzed potential biological challenges. Computer science programs worked on complex adaptive algorithms that could predict and counter alien tactical movements. In Tokyo, a group of young programmers created a distributed network that could instantly share technological innovations across continents. What would have taken months of bureaucratic approval now happened in minutes. A breakthrough in a small research facility in Brazil could be integrated into global defense systems before the day's end. Agricultural experts worked on comprehensive food security plans. They understood that a prolonged conflict would require more than military might. It would demand a holistic approach to human survival. Vertical farming technologies were rapidly developed. Water purification systems were upgraded, and global food distribution networks were transformed into adaptive, resilient systems. Dr. Marcus Wong led a team that was developing something unprecedented. Their project wasn't just about defense, it was about understanding. Complex simulation systems that could model alien technological and cultural approaches with increasing accuracy. Each simulation was a window into potential strategies, potential communications, potential resolutions. Community centers became more than just support networks. They transformed into local innovation hubs. Retired engineers worked alongside high school students. Artists developed communication strategies. Writers created potential linguistic bridges to understand alien communication patterns. The global education system underwent an immediate transformation. Schools were no longer just places of learning. They became centers of collective problem-solving. Curriculum changed overnight. Students were taught not just to memorize, but to adapt, to innovate, to think across traditional disciplinary boundaries. Medical research took quantum leaps forward. Hospitals developed rapid response systems that could handle potential biological challenges. Researchers who had been working on separate projects now collaborated with an intensity that broke down every traditional academic barrier. In the Global Psychological Resilience Center, Dr. Rachel Goldman's team developed communication strategies that went beyond traditional military thinking. They understood that the conflict was as much about understanding as it was about defense. Every piece of intercepted alien communication was an opportunity for learning. Technology companies set aside competitive differences. What would have been protected intellectual property became shared resources. A chip developed by a small startup in India could be integrated into a defense system designed by a research team in Canada within hours. Transportation networks were reimagined. Global logistics became a complex, adaptive system that could respond to potential threat scenarios in real time. Supply chains that had once been vulnerable became resilient, dynamic networks capable of instant reconfiguration. Energy infrastructure underwent a complete transformation. Renewable energy systems were rapidly developed and deployed. Every building, every community became a potential node in a global energy network that could adapt to potential challenges. The International Space Station became a critical research platform. Scientists from every corner of the globe worked together with a level of collaboration that seemed to defy previous geopolitical limitations. National boundaries became increasingly irrelevant in the face of a global challenge. Communication networks transformed into something more than information highways. They became living, breathing systems of collective intelligence. Social media platforms were redesigned to facilitate global problem-solving rather than simple information sharing. What the Zornak had failed to understand was that humanity's greatest strength was not in any single technological breakthrough. It was in the ability to come together, to adapt, to transform challenges into opportunities. Every sector of human society had become part of a complex, adaptive response system. From the largest research facilities to the smallest community centers, humanity was transforming itself, not out of fear, but out of an unprecedented spirit of collective potential. The global transformation was more than a response to an alien threat. It was an awakening, a moment when humanity realized its true potential for collaboration, innovation, and collective growth. The universe was about to witness something extraordinary. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became the stage for a confrontation that would define the future of two civilizations. Hundreds of modified spacecraft moved with a fluidity that defied traditional understanding of space combat. Each vessel was more than a weapon. It was a living node in a complex, adaptive network of human technological innovation. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, her team a perfect fusion of scientific brilliance and military precision. The vessel had become something beyond its original design, a testament to human adaptability. Quantum communication systems hummed with a complexity that would have been unimaginable just months earlier. The main Zornak armada approached with the confidence of a species that had conquered thousands of worlds. Their massive bioengineered warships stretched across thousands of kilometers, a terrifying display of technological might. Energy weapons that could obliterate entire planetary defenses charged with deadly precision. But humanity was not like any civilization they had encountered before. Dr. Marcus Wong monitored the tactical systems, his fingers moving across holographic interfaces that blended scientific observation with strategic warfare. The human fleet was not a traditional military formation. It was a living, breathing system of interconnected vessels that could adapt, communicate, and respond faster than any centralized command structure. Lieutenant David Kim managed the quantum communication network. What appeared to be random movements to the alien tactical systems was actually a complex dance of technological innovation. Each human vessel communicated instantaneously, sharing tactical information, adapting strategies in microseconds. The first wave of alien energy weapons struck with devastating force. But instead of destruction, they encountered something unexpected. Adaptive shielding systems developed through months of intense research absorbed, redirected, and transformed the incoming energy. What should have been a moment of devastating attack became an opportunity for technological understanding. Smaller support craft, modified from civilian and research vessels, moved with an almost organic unpredictability. They were not just weapons platforms but living research stations. Each moment of combat was simultaneously a battle and a scientific expedition, gathering data, understanding alien technologies in real time. The Zornak commanders watched in growing confusion. Their tactical systems, which had predicted and controlled countless battles across the galaxy, were encountering an approach that defied every known model of warfare. The human fleet did not fight like a traditional military force. They fought like a complex, adaptive organism. Quantum disruption fields spread across the battlefield, creating temporary zones of technological interference. These were not just defensive measures but complex communication attempts. Brief moments of technological touch between two fundamentally different civilizations created unprecedented opportunities for understanding. Dr. Rachel Goldman's psychological warfare team worked in perfect sync with the combat units. They understood that this battle was as much about communication as it was about conflict. Each tactical movement was a statement, each defensive strategy a potential bridge of understanding. The Pioneer moved through the battlefield with a precision that seemed to defy the laws of known physics. Its modified hull could adapt to different energy signatures. Its communication systems could penetrate and understand alien technological networks in ways that went beyond traditional warfare. Hours passed. The battle was not a simple exchange of weapons, but a complex negotiation of technological capabilities. Human vessels would temporarily disable alien systems, gather critical information, and move with a fluidity that constantly surprised the Zornak tactical computers. What made the human approach unique was its fundamental philosophy. This was not about total destruction, but about demonstrating a level of technological and strategic capability that would fundamentally change the dynamics of the conflict. The alien armada began to show signs of confusion. Their hierarchical command structures, which had been their greatest strength in previous conquests, became a weakness against humanity's adaptive, decentralized approach. As the battle reached its critical moment, something extraordinary happened. The human fleet was not just fighting, it was communicating. Complex quantum signals spread across the battlefield, creating momentary bridges of understanding that went beyond traditional concepts of warfare. The Zornak had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they encountered a species that could transform a battlefield into a complex, adaptive system of technological and cultural exchange. The universe was about to witness a confrontation that would redefine the very concept of interstellar conflict. As the last Zornak ships retreated, humanity stood transformed. The conflict had revealed strengths no one, least of all the aliens, had anticipated. It wasn't just about technological superiority or military might, but about the human spirit. Adaptable, resilient, and unbreakable. The galaxy would remember this moment, the time when a supposedly young species showed that true strength comes from unity, innovation, and an unwavering will to protect what matters most. The stars would never look the same again.